Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a very common question that I get, and that is, am I too sensitive? Am I just overreacting to the manipulation of this person? Is there something about me that is flawed? Is there something about me, quote unquote, that is crazy? Am I losing it? Am I out of whack? Am I out of sorts? Is there something that I'm doing wrong? And I'm here to tell you, you have done nothing wrong. You have done nothing to bring this about into your life. If you have encountered a manipulative person, you'll have narcissists out there who will say, you know, this person is easy to manipulate, or this is a target, and, you know, the people who are in, you know, all psychopathic who say, you know, we can identify each other's targets. You know, there's been a lot of comments by these type of abusers on this channel and others, you know, in terms of what their experience is like. And they know that they are hollow inside. They do not have any emotion. They don't have any sort of emotional conscience, which gives them a sense of right or wrong. They just do what they want. They don't have any brakes on the car, so to speak. They don't have any speedometer on their mileage. They just will continue to go and disobey societal norms because they do not perceive these. They don't care. They don't get it. They see from the outside what others are doing, so they have a very observatory stance. They know that there is something different about them, and they know that what they're doing is wrong on in their head level, but in their heart level, they might have temporarily feelings. And they might put positions, events into situations that, cause these high-risk behaviors where they will, quote-unquote, almost get caught or leave clues, and this gives them a sense of a thrill or excitement or, for the sport of it. And their heart might temporarily race and they feel a sense of being connected or excitement, So they might put these high-risk behaviors or situations into effect, law-breaking behaviors, the smear campaigns, the things that would not make sense. It's discongruent. They might be married and they might have, all sorts of different relationships going on the side that are very serious. I mean, that they might have, even, promised to marry these other people. I mean, living double and triple lives where they're doing this for the entertainment to really, delay their boredom. And so, it's nothing that you have done wrong. You are not the crazy one. You might feel crazy. You might be put into a temporarily, post-traumatic stress syndrome. You might feeling things in the extreme. You might being presented with the symptoms of like feeling lost. You might be going through the real terror of coming out of the brainwashing, realizing that you were addicted, realizing that you can't get away, realizing that it's difficult to, walk away from the relationship, put the phone down, stay in the house, stay in loans with these people, or perhaps you're being targeted, or you're being, you're being watched, you're being observed, or you're being stalked. I mean, this is the type of behavior that these people will do. And it's not that they, really care about oftentimes hurting people, but it's because they're still connected. It's because it's an easy target for them, and it gives them a sense of connection to quote unquote reality. I mean, this is just very odd, pathological, abnormal behavior, and it might make you feel very, very uncomfortable, very afraid. Very much like, what did I do wrong to deserve this? And, how did I attract this into my life? And how do I get this out of my life? And a lot of people even say, it's evil, it's demonic. So they start using these really profound religious things, with that. But, realize that your source and your guardian angels and your higher power is with you. It's getting to that space where that is now comforting you, directing you, and you have a closer relationship with that in your life now, rather than the deception, rather than the fear-based manipulation that this person is created in your life. And then, in the beginning, as you were targeted, realize that you were targeted, there was a deliberate and calculated manipulation that went in place, especially in the space of the psychopath, the malignant covert narcissist, or the malignant narcissist, who is, they are really on the spectrum of really being able to understand the destruction with which they're doing, and they do it for sport. They do it for entertainment. They do it because this is what they do. They derive pleasure from a sadistic relationship, meaning, they take a pleasure from hurting others. So it's very, very pathological, and it can cause a lot of distress, and it can cause a lot of worry in people. And then people, worry themselves sick, and they worry themselves into delirium. They worry themselves into post-traumatic stress syndrome, CPD, complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, where, they really can't venture out in their life, feeling safe anymore. They feel constantly threatened. They, have insomnia. They feel terrified. They have feelings of being persecuted or being stalked, and they have this temporary flight into this, almost like a temporary psychosis, or a breaking from reality. And it's really kind of like your body is just trying to process what is going on from being so thrown off of your own internal navigation system, your own senses, your own, experience with your core truth, and kind of living that in a safe place. So your safety has been kind of ripped out. You've been ripped off of your safety, so to speak. Your own internal navigating system, if you will, your own reticular, navigating system has been, it's like hijacked. A lot of people feel that they have been psychologically hijacked. It's like, I use a lot of analogies, but it's like a mechanic getting in the car and rewiring some things, and then the brakes go out and the lights flash when they're not supposed to, and the pistons are working out of sync. It's just it's like that. So that's right, you really need to get back into the tabula rasa, the clean slate, and kind of reinventing or re-experiencing yourself in that safe place. So a lot of people do go to psychological consultation. They enter into the healthcare system. They might need to get some gentle antidepressants, some, of the, even those medications which are used for bipolar situations. Your symptoms might be presenting as kind of a temporary set of symptoms which look like something else. And so a lot of people might say, they've then been diagnosed as, having this and this, and, but they really might be able to actually just kind of self-heal. They might be able to kind of just with time, these symptoms will go away. So if you're feeling like I'm the crazy one, there's something wrong with me, you're having that experience that's very natural, kind of after coming out of a relationship or a family dynamic, or, constant, even employment with this sort of setting or this sort of environment, which again creates the fight or flight. It's like living in a war-torn area where there's bombs going off, and then you're having to constantly be hypervigilant and react. What bomb? You're constantly on the alert, the hypervigilance, your adrenals are constantly, firing, and then, your brain and your emotions are following suit, and then you become very habituated to reacting in your environment. So it's a loss of self-empowerment. So really that's what I want you to do is separate, that experience, the fear-based, the sort of stimulus response lifestyle of, the bombs going off, the flinching, all the time, the fear of dressing people, the social anxiety that's then created. All that is really sourced from, a lot of that manipulation, enmeshment, that overrunning of your boundaries, that sort of psychological takeover. I know better than you. I am deciding this for you. I am directing your life. You are mine. You don't have, it's the blending of boundaries where people feel like they don't know who they are. It is because of the experience of the being emotionally manipulated, or being with a very controlling malignant narcissist or psychopathic individual, and you had to do this to survive. But now you're kind of like emerging from the deep. You're emerging from that oftentimes frigid state where you might have, been paralyzed, emotionally paralyzed in that setting. And then afraid, you don't have your healing legs on. You might have sea legs where you're very wobbly. That will get stronger. That will get better with time. If you've ever been on a cruise and had sea legs and kind of been disoriented, that will, your body will reset itself naturally when you're back on land. You might feel like you're still on the boat. You might still feel like the emotional manipulator is in your life. You might still feel like they're running your life, but once you get away from them, your life will begin to naturally, with your focus, with your attention, with your concentrated effort, you will become resensitized. So that's why I really recommend, in the book that I'm reading is, really sort of resensitizing yourself in all of your senses. The sense of sight, priming yourself with positive images, smiley faces, things that evoke positive emotion in you. The sight of the sense of hearing. Begin to resensitize your sense of hearing with music that is not always shattering and disruptive, but is more calming, 432 hertz music, some of the Tibetan gong, something that is more, really soothing. There's so much music that you can find now on YouTube that you can play. They have 8 and 10 hours of rain music or waves or, rainforest that you can, or drumming that you can have that's like very soothing. The virtual fireplace, the sense of touch. Begin to use fabrics, other things in your environment, furniture, pillows, things that are very comfortable, soothing and comforting to the touch, down, silk, some of the textured things that are very comforting to your entire body, because chances are your entire body needs to be resensitized. The sense of taste. Begin to eat very clean, fresh, healthy foods. Get away from, a lot of people will self-medicate with food. They'll do the chocolate, they'll do the alcohol, they'll do the drugs, they'll, pound the chips, the salt, and this is, because you're trying to repress and stuff your feelings, begin to take a look at that and go, wow, am I really just junking myself up? Am I just kind of numbing my senses, to get away from this person and like just get a temporary escape? So use that, all the senses that you need, that you have, and then of course your heightened sense, your spiritual sense, your sixth sense. Begin to re-engage with your sense of intuition. Go on the recovery date. See if you can let your positive intuition guide you, and let it guide you to people, places, events, and experiences where you can just be. Be, as in human being. Whether it's just something you're learning about, you might just see a workshop at a library, a workshop at a recreational center, a park district, something in your community where there's a concert going on, an outdoor concert, an indoor concert, a kid's play, a kid's, a basketball game, a kid's football game, something out of the ordinary. Look on your directory for things going on in a nearby city, even if you have to drive an hour or two to get to an event, a farmer's market, an outdoor concert with a string ensemble or a brass ensemble, even a small little theater group. There's all sorts of wonderful little theater groups, community theater, that you can go and watch. I've never done this before, Peace and Harmony. Well, that's the point. You've never done this before. You need to resensitize now your sixth sense and get into, a more calm, receptive, trusting, and place where you then experience gratitude away from and separate from the sort of fear and terror and being, constantly controlled by this person. And then you need to exercise your personal freedom. You need to exercise your free will so you can get out and test it out. Well, I'm scared to go out. Well, then go out for half an hour. See how that feels, and then come back. Then extend it to an hour. Go out for an hour. See how that feels and come back. Eventually go for 2 hours. And then go for 4 hours. See if then you can make an afternoon, or then a full day, and then a weekend, and then begin to, gradually resensitize yourself to exercising your freedom, your own legs, your own true authentic self without being controlled, without the barnacles of this person kind of, you know, on you and trying to suck you in like an octopus or something, you know, like an Arctic, you know, just, you know, get away from that sense of entrapment. Give your body a chance to reset itself and, you know, kind of reset the DNA to go out and then experience this. And, you know, or, you know, write things several times. You know, what is that, you know, prayer, you know, the Serenity Prayer. Go and write that 1,000 times and reset your body, mind, and spirit. And you'll see really that you're not crazy, that there's not something wrong. You just need to take charge of your emotional experience and your autonomy, your independence, and your self-direction in life. It's peace and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos, that they do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.